Hey guys, what's going on? Let me adjust this camera a little bit. Oh. There we go. So, we're not in the Mustang, as you might be able to tell. I'll explain that in another video coming soon. But we were driving on the highway. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. But I just wanted to talk about the big craze right now in the Ecoboost community, the new 2-liter block that everyone is trying to put in their cars now. They're testing it for how much power it can hold at the moment. I've been actually watching some videos and looking at some posts from Pablo over at Speed Performance, and he's getting ready to test a new design 2-liter block that actually bolts up directly to the motor mounts, to the stock OEM motor mounts in the Mustang, which is very handy. Now, just a little backstory on where this all came from. Excuse me. The 2.0 in the Focus is a closed deck design versus in the Mustang, the 2.3 is an open deck design. So to make it simple, since I'm not completely understanding of it, and I'm sure a lot of people aren't, the closed deck can handle more power. It's that simple. The 2.3 has an issue with cracking the block, and it just can't handle the same kind of power. So basically what someone decided was a good idea was to take the 2-liter Focus block, which is closed deck, throw it in a Mustang. They had to fab up some motor mounts, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I don't even know, has it been done? It's probably been done already. Fab up some motor mounts. If not, I know some that are in the works, but fab up some motor mounts. 2.3 head works, 2.3 crank works. I think you still need 2-liter rods and pistons, if I'm not mistaken. This is bad because I was pricing on a build last night. But so anyways, 2.3 head works. You throw that on top, and so you fab up the motor mounts, drop it in. From what I understand, a lot of, if not all of the wiring harness will plug up to the sensors in this block as well. So it's fairly drop-in. So that's a 2-liter from the Focus, and like I said, it can handle a lot more power. Speed Performance, they actually pushed it. I believe it was a rod and piston motor. Don't quote me on this. Rod and piston motor made 780 wheel horsepower, which is absolutely insane. And so basically what the deal is now is starting in 2016 is when they started putting this motor in these cars. It's called it's a 2-liter semi-closed deck. So basically it's a 2-liter block, but it's a semi-closed deck. So it's hard to explain, but instead of having an open deck or closed deck, it's in between. There's almost webbing or almost like struts in the deck design that reinforce the cylinders basically, versus the open deck where there's nothing. So it's a lot stronger. Let me use that VTEC real quick. Let's go. So it's a lot stronger than the 2.3, and that's kind of where all these builds are going now. Like, some people are just stop building the 2.3 altogether, because there have been a bunch of built 2.3s that have cracked, that have still failed, just because of design. Apparently in the casting there's also a very thin area that tends to crack, and I even personally have seen one that has cracked, making less than 450 wheel horsepower, and the block cracked, which that block should not have cracked for how much power it was supposed to withstand. It should not have cracked whatsoever. It's just the block design is garbage. And I was talking to my buddy last night. He was saying they should have never put this block in the Mustang, and I kind of agree with all the issues we've been seeing with the 2.3 liter in the Mustang, even in stock form, stock power, blowing holes in the block, etc. You always hear me talking about how it has to do with proper maintenance, not putting the car in an environment where it will be would the word be? I guess put it in an LSPI, let's just say an environment that will induce LSPI, low speed pre-ignition. That's the easiest way to say it. Such as lugging the motor, flooring it in 6th gear, stuff like that. You'd always hear me say stuff like that, and it's not wrong. It's not wrong at all. But the more we learn and see about the 2.3 engine and the Ecoboost, the more we realize it's really just it's a subpar engine. And honestly, it really should have been a different design from the factory, or they should have put this 2-liter semi-closed deck engine in the car from the get-go. So that's going to be really the future of building the 2.3, and possibly the future of the Ecoboost in general, depending on if they change the block design or not, which is very possible, seeing as other vehicles are getting the 2.0 semi-closed deck block from the factory now. So it's very possible they could put it in the Mustang. And, you know, pricing out a build on the semi-closed deck, you know, it's really not all that more expensive for a mild build than a 2.3. It's really the same, if not less. For the one I priced out, it was not bad at all. I just priced out hard parts on the engine. I forget the hard parts I priced out. I'd say hard parts $3,000 tops. So it's basically all just putting it together after that, which you're gonna have to have a builder if you can't do it yourself. But most likely, if I were to ever build the motor in my car, that's gonna be the route I go, the semi-closed deck, just because it's basically a drop-in. I don't know if I'm not sure if I mentioned already, but the semi-closed deck mounts directly up to the OEM engine mounts. So it's basically build the block and bolt it in, plug it in, good to go from what I understand. So that's most definitely the plan in the future if I ever decide to build the motor in the Ecoboost. And I highly recommend, if you're planning on building the motor in your Ecoboost, to look for the semi-closed deck block. Like I said, Speed Performance is testing it right now. They basically built one. I'm fairly certain they built one already, and they're going to be putting it on the dyno in their Focus ST, pushing the boundaries, seeing how much it can handle before it fails. And I have a feeling it's going to handle fairly close, if not the same, as the closed deck 2-liter block, which would be great. So like I said, keep up with Speed Performance. I'll link their Facebook down below so that you can keep up with them and look at their posts, keep up with how the 2-liter semi-closed deck is performing. Check out, you know, a little bit of engine porn, what have you, because they post pictures of a lot of their engines they build and whatnot. You can see a lot of builds from them, but definitely keep up with them. I just want to make this video to kind of give you guys an idea of what's to come of the Ecoboost. Not mine personally, well, I don't know yet, but what's to come in the future of the Ecoboost Mustang, and making real horsepower without having to worry about block failure. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I'll see you next time.